you desire to live at peace with God and one another, participate in prayer and communion online and in person today. Prepare your heart and 1 or 2 elements such as wine, juice, crackers, or bread. We welcome you now to set your heart and table for communion.
Peace, friends.
Peace, Mikkel.
My name is Mikkel White. I'm the pastor here at the South Lansing campus of Sycamore Creek Church. Joining me this morning is Eric Neeser. Hey. Everybody give it up for Eric.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a good morning. I have a shout-out question for you, so you can just shout out your answer to this. Who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl tonight?
Oh. I heard a lot of
Valid
Lions.
answers include, I hope they both lose, go Lions.
Yeah.
I'm here for the ads and either one of those people. So I'm here for the food and the ads.
Oh, like, yeah, the food too.
The food.
That's always a good one.
Yeah, okay. We should have asked, what's your favorite Super Bowl snack? Shout that out. 7-layer dip. What did you say? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Would you join me in standing so we can sing together this morning?
Good morning. So glad to be with you this morning as we sing. We're going to start by singing a song called Move, which we've done here a few times before. So let's lean into this and sing together.
Darkness runs for cover. When you move, no one's turned away. It's where you are, fear turns into praises. Where you are, no heart's left unchanged, yeah. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. And when you move, the outcast finds a family. When you move, the orphan finds a home. Lord, here we are. Oh, teach us to love mercy. Humble hearts, we bow down at your throne, Jesus. Oh, come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Oh, come, so come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone, Jesus. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone, you alone. worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. So come, move, let justice roll like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. 'Cause you're King of all generations. Let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. Jesus, you are King of all generations. Let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. You alone. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you.
That's such a good song. I'm one who's drawn to the love of God as it is shown in the justice and righteousness and the way things that God works to make the way they should be. I'm drawn to that. And I'm drawn to what empowers that, and it's God's love and God's grace that is unending and forever. So we're going to sing this song. Chris is going to lead us through it, and we're going to sing the song that this is Amazing Grace, because we cannot pursue justice without grace. Like, Mikkel and I just got off the marriage retreat this weekend. I didn't tell you I was going to say all this, but ta-da, here I am. And like, it's payback. That's true. You do this all the time. Anyway, but it's one of those things where like we can't have a relationship with each other successfully without grace. Like, we can't parent successfully without grace. We can't move towards each other without grace. And I think that is a reflection of the incredible grace that God continues to offer to us, and the excitement that for me comes from that is that like this is how we also relate to one another. This is how we pursue justice, is through grace. So apologize for the micro sermon, wasn't planned, but let's jump into this and sing together. So.
Sin and darkness, whose love is mighty and so much stronger, the King of glory, the King above all kings, who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder, who leaves us breathless in awe and wonder, the King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross, you would lay down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings the chaos back into order, who makes the orphan a son and daughter, the King of glory, the King of glory, brings the truth and justice shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. The King of glory, the King above all kings. Yeah, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. All that you've done for me.
Grace is amazing, right? God's grace is amazing. So I invite you to go ahead and have a seat as we transition to our next thing.
Wow, would you just join me in thanking God for our team of musicians? Oh my word. Like, none of these people are paid to be here. Like, they just show up, and that's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
It's
They have
amazing.
such talent. It's impressive.
Okay, if you are a kid who is like kindergarten to 5th grade, you can go on up to Kids Creek. I feel like there might be, well, okay, never mind. I was
there's
seeing
a party
people,
up
like
there.
there was a lot of people, and like there's room still in the front. But
Was that like a hint? Or
well, I'm just saying,
a
it's there,
nudge?
it's there, it's there.
Maybe a little nudge.
If people need more space.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
next.
Oh, yeah. Boom. This was
Pull out
probably in
your connection
your
card.
packet of goodies today. It's a connection card. Take a look at it, maybe put your name on it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it a bit more later on, but this is just something because we want to connect with you because you're all cool people.
Yeah, and it's for everybody. Like, if it's your first time here or if you've been coming for
Millionth
years
time.
and years and years,
Yeah.
just pull it out. And
Right.
Let us know you're here. Okay, what else do I have to say? Selfies.
Oh,
it's time
yeah.
for selfies.
Time for
There is a
selfie.
good crowd here. I'm gonna do like a selfie
Oh, yeah.
of everybody.
Can I like sneak into it?
Yeah. Hello. Okay, but take your own selfie, put it on your social media with the hashtag SCCMI, or you can tag us on Instagram, or you can email us if you want to. But
Oh, yeah.
our selfie of the week is Kids Creek.
Oh, man.
This is from last week upstairs in Kids Creek. This is like 2 of our adult leaders and
So
a
now we
handful
know
of the
they're having
kids.
fun.
And
Yeah, we know they're
I
having
mean,
fun up
look
there.
at how much fun they're having. That looks so fun. They're
Yeah.
like doing the whole thing. So if you post that, and you could be featured as our selfie of the week.
You
and
could be next week.
You get a Big B gift card.
Oh, man.
So there's some incentive there for you to do that. Also, we're receiving communion this morning.
Yes.
And I'm mentioning it right now, mostly for people who are joining us online, so that you're not caught off guard later in the service, because this is your opportunity to gather up some bread or crackers or juice or whatever you have on hand.
We don't want you to have to run around. There's tripping hazards and such.
Exactly.
Dangerous.
And if you only have one element, bread or juice, that's fine too.
Okay.
But that way you can participate with us later in our message or the service. We're in week 2, as you know, of our series of the space between us. And this is going to be a really special message.
Why is that?
Did you know?
No, I didn't.
He's teaching the message with me, so apparently it's a surprise to him.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. It's like a surprise.
Don't worry. If you co-host with me, I will not spring that on you. This is not real. You know that. You knew that. Okay. All right. So we're talking about being a peacemaker or a peacekeeper today.
Yeah, the battle between them.
Yeah. So our message this morning begins with this.
Tension in our personal relationships are at an all-time high. Dialogue, when it happens at all, is heated. It isn't that we've lost hope in what faith and politics can accomplish in our world. It's that in our polarizing times, faith and politics seem to be leading more to rage than actual change. It's discouraging, disheartening, and disappointing. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Civility is not a pipe dream. Nuance is not unrecoverable. Peace is possible. And it can all start right here, right now, with us. Let's close the space between us.
So, Eric, this is a new role for you.
Yeah.
Like, you're often up here co-hosting.
Yeah. I feel like that's easier, though. I can just, I don't know, say random things and you keep it moving.
I mean, you know.
That's pretty much.
It won't be that different.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean,
all right, good.
It will be,
Then
but
perfect.
You know, yeah. But for those, like, so people have probably seen you up here, but would you just introduce yourself just a little bit?
Yeah. So my name is Eric. Hi. I've been coming here for a few years. I'm on a few different teams, small groups, different stuff like that. But like you said, this is a new thing for me. So I'm glad that we didn't serve like vegetables in the back today, so people could throw them
right
up at the front. I'm happy for that. And
yeah, there's cookies and there's soda cans.
Oh, that actually
that would
sounds
hurt though.
Yeah, but the cookie would be nice, but not the
cookie,
soda.
Yeah.
That would be a little painful. Thanks, James.
James is dependable. Okay.
At least I don't know.
Let's just not throw things. We don't have the snowballs today, so we're just, you know. All right. So leading into the message. Okay. We're transitioning now. When I was in college and high school, I went on a couple of international mission trips.
Yeah.
Did you ever do anything like that?
I did. So in college, me and a big group of people, we would go to Guatemala for a week each year. There's me doing something, I don't know. But yeah, we would do different things in Guatemala at this it was a medical trip because we were in pharmacy, but it was also, we would help out at the orphanage, we would help with construction projects, basically whatever they needed us to do, we tried to be there for them, just to help out.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Did you do anything? Or it sounds like you did, huh?
Yeah, I did. When I was in college, so I went on a couple in high school, and then when I was in college, I went on 2 trips, both to Romania.
Oh, okay.
With my campus ministry InterVarsity. And the second one that we went on, we partnered with an organization called STEM.
STEM.
Which is Students Training and Missions. And I mentioned that because they helped us with some fundraising, but then there was also some training stuff that they helped us with. There was 3 weekends leading up to the trip and a weekend after the trip.
It seems like a lot that's good though.
Yeah, it was a lot,
training.
But you're sending 20, college students to another part of the world to do something good, hopefully. And so they probably could use some training. Theoretically. But what I remember from those weekends is honestly, it was kind of awkward. Each weekend they would try to simulate us being in a different culture. And one weekend we all had to turn our cell phones in. Now this was a number of years ago.
Okay.
So I had a cell phone at the time, but I didn't bring it with me.
Oh, you did? Okay. Was it one of those brick ones?
Yeah, it was a
big,
flip phone.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But then, like, there was another weekend where, like, we observed the gender roles of a different culture, and so all of the female students were cooking and serving, and all of the male students were being served, and then also offering to carry our books and stuff. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit strange.
Yeah.
A little tough.
Yeah, and this is, like, one of the...
Oh, is that the crew?
Yeah, this is the crew. The only picture I have from the STEM training part, and then this is like on the trip. Yeah, that's the sweetest picture. Okay, but so the STEM training gets better. It gets better. We also had experiences that, like, they might be called games, but they were really like uncomfortable experiences, like designed to get you out of your comfort zone, like designed to disturb your peace a little bit. And then they like taught us a song.
Oh, okay.
That we like sang together. And the first part was like, is what I'm doing, thinking, or saying building trust or undermining trust? It's not right or wrong, it's just different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was really hoping you would sing that for us today.
I know.
I'm a little disappointed on it.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like, why did they kind of bring that up? Like, why was that important enough to, like, you know, bring it into a song and type of thing? And B, I mean, you're remembering it now. You still remember that.
Yeah, well, and I think it's like they knew that we would encounter situations that would challenge us. You know, if you've ever traveled internationally, you've probably had these moments where, like, the grocery store works differently than you're used to. And you have an opportunity to lean in and be curious and learn something, to remember it's not right or wrong, it's just different. And like, is what I'm doing, thinking, or saying building trust or undermining trust? Like, am I pulling back and judging what's happening when it's not right or wrong, it's just different? And you know, when you're traveling, you get exhausted. It's harder to lean in those moments. It's easier to pull back and judge. And so I think they just wanted this song to be like embedded in our brains.
Like a constant thing that you can do a quick pullback and remember those things.
So actually, let's pause here. We here at Sycamore Creek, we'll pause throughout the message to have chat questions, to give you a chance just to think about this and process it. I saw some of you nodding when I was talking about travel. So some of you already have a story, I think, that's coming to mind. Have you ever traveled, or have you ever experienced a time, maybe during travel, where you were pushed out of your comfort zone and had to choose between judgment and curiosity? And what did you do? Let's take a minute and talk about it. Yeah. Ooh,
Man.
You guys are having some good conversations.
I think travel like always brings that up, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you know,
Yeah. I remember on one of my trips in Romania, I'm pretty sure I'm not mixing this up with a different trip. I'm pretty sure it was in Romania. Like, you said goodbye to every person instead of saying goodbye to the group. Like, and we're all like, staying together. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to sleep now. Goodbye. Like, I just want to like say goodbye to the group and make my exit. And I had to like say goodbye to every person. And as
almost like an ordeal.
I can do extrovert things, but when I'm done, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And I really like to just be polite and then leave. Yeah. And so to have to like stay like when I'm already done and like do that there were times that I was like, oh, I don't want to go. How about you?
So when I was in Honduras, I was getting Spanish lessons, and I went to the person's house for it, and she wasn't there, and I was like, what? And I was like freaking out, and then...
Because you had to like make awkward small talk with her family.
Well, there was no one there. Oh, I was just sitting there like in the front stoop area, and she came back, and I was like, oh, where were you? Like I was on there, and she's like, oh, I just went to go get groceries. I knew you'd be here. And but it was just a difference in timing, I guess.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah. But it was cool.
Wow.
Yeah, this week, so like we said, we're in a series. It's called The Space Between Us. It's based off the book by Sarah Bauer Anderson. And last week, we kicked it off with talking about connection versus distance. This week, we're talking about Peacemaker versus Peacekeeper. And then next week, we're going to finish it off with wonder versus expectation.
Yeah. And you should know, like, this is a book. We have it in our micro bookstore. It's only $10, so it's really easy just to, like, drop something in there. And you can, of course, order it from Schmamazon or from your favorite local bookstore. Those are options. But if you want to start reading it today, you can pick it up right back there. And, like, what I love about the way that we like plan series based on books is that like it gives you all a chance to hear from people, not just me, like or Pastor Tom or Pastor Mark, like
lots of different
voices. And like, do I agree with everything that Anderson says in the book? No, probably not. But it's challenging me and it's encouraging me and it's like making me think about things in a different way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think in some ways, kind of, that's really what we're talking about throughout this whole series, right? It's those real differences that we have with people, those differences, whether it is political, religious, cultural differences, and that we can still have deep friendships with them.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And we're, in a way, we're engaging the book with the principles of the book. Right? Like,
whoa, it sounds meta.
Right. Because like the book is like how to have connection and how to have relationships, how to have learn from people who are different than you, and that's what we're doing with this author. Like we're learning from her and being challenged by her, even though maybe she's different than us. And I think maybe that's the kind of relationships that most of us want to have. I think we want to have deep, meaningful friendships with people who are different than us.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, I would love to have those too. I feel like too often, though, I have lots of nice surface level relationships with people who think differently than me.
Yeah, and I think if I'm honest with myself, there are times that if I'm getting to know somebody and we're still in that sort of surface level, just getting to know each other place, and then I see something that's oh, we think really differently about that. I'm probably just gonna ignore it. I'm probably not going to say anything. I'm just going to, and you should use discretion because sometimes, if you've just gotten to know somebody, maybe that's not the right place. But I think I tend to pull back and just ignore the difference instead of leaning in and oh, tell me more about why you think that. And I think when I pull back, I miss out. I miss out on those meaningful connections or on expanding my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of brings us back to what we were talking about at the beginning, how we all experience things that challenge us in a sense. A new friend that disagrees with us. We can lean in to understand, or we can pull back. And maybe that pullback's we're judging them a little bit, or maybe it's just we're trying to protect ourselves in a way.
Yeah. I think what can happen when we do that, when we pull back, is that we're sort of enforcing a normal. Like if someone else is saying something and we're just not challenging it or not asking questions, then they're probably going to assume that we agree with them, and that's what's normal. And that's really like a false peace.
Okay, yeah.
So Anderson explores this example of like false peace, and she talks about the idea of the peace of Rome, the Pax Romana.
Oh, okay.
There was just like a period of 200 years where there was unprecedented peace in the Roman Empire, except that it was like a forced peace. It was achieved through war and subjugation. It wasn't like a presence of justice or a presence of wholeness. It was like they had just beaten people down to where they couldn't challenge anymore. Like they were so proud of this Roman peace, but it was really more like bullying. It was like, no, you're going to do what we want you to do. And look, we're at peace, you know? But it's like,
and now there's peace.
There's peace. It wasn't in a lack of violence. It was in a lack of a fair fight. Like they just beat people down.
That makes sense, kind of like what you're saying about the Romans and the peace. But like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about today, other than peace?
It's about peace.
A lot of peace.
Yeah. Well, Anderson observes that the cultures, the Romans didn't see the cultures around them as being equal.
Okay.
Their single-minded pursuit was just to conquer. And so she says, if you can't see the humanity in others and you're driven by a particular end in mind, if you've got a particular end in mind and the people standing in the way, then they're just obstacles to getting what you want. First century Romans weren't peace practitioners, they were peace takers.
Wow, peace takers.
Yeah, so here she's drawing this distinction between peace practitioners and peace takers. And we might use the words peacemaker and peacekeeper. And that might be sort of a new paradigm for us, like to think about how those things are different. And so we're going to wrestle with that today. That's part of what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
Peacemakers are creative in like creating a sense of shalom, which is another word for peace or wholeness or justice. And on the other hand, peacekeepers enforce a lack of disruption that just flattens out differences and silences dissent.
You know, with you saying that, it makes me think of the place in the Bible where Jesus talks about being peacemakers. It's in Matthew's Gospel in chapter 5. There's a list of people who are blessed or who experience the good life, in a sense, right? Blessed are the meek, because they'll inherit the earth. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. And in verse 9, Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God.
I love that. Blessed are the peacemakers. Not the peacekeepers, not the peace takers, the peacemakers. I think there's a sense of creativity that's required here for making peace, because it's making it, it's creating it. Sometimes when I've read this verse in the past, I've thought about like national policy, like war versus peace.
Like big scale.
Big, and really not applicable to me. Except for in like who I vote for. Like it's not really applicable, you know, or it doesn't feel immediately applicable to me. But here we're talking about peacemakers in terms of our relationships, in terms of the people that we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. And it makes me really glad that God is creative, that God is creator. So let's pause for another chat question. I'm curious how you would think about this question. What do you think is the difference between peacemaking and peacekeeping? Take a minute and talk about it.
Man,
right?
another great conversation. It's like we're 2 for 2 on people chatting and everything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Man, for me, Mikkel and I were talking, that peacekeeping, you want to when you think of keeping, you want to hold something clenched fists, no matter what's happening.
It's like maintaining control over something.
Yeah.
It actually made me think about parenting, peacekeeping and parenting would be no, my way, obey first, ask questions later, that kind of sort of more authoritarian style of parenting.
Yeah.
Where peacekeeping, and I'm not intending to judge other ways of parenting, but this is just how I'm processing it is peacekeeping requires flexible thinking and empathy and I'm sitting down with my kid. Okay, tell me, I see that you're upset. Why are you upset? Tell me more. Let's come up with a solution together. And that's been good in our family. It's something we're actively working on building those skills right now. And
that is cool. Yeah, it does sound like a really a collaboration type of thing.
Yeah.
Because honestly, peacemaking can be really tough work. It means we have to live with a lot of tension in our lives, in our relationships, and how we view the world. It's so much easier to just withdraw from people.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay back, rather than to stay present and live in that tension.
I think that's such a good point. One of the things that stuck out to me in this chapter is some ideas that Anderson referred to from a social psychologist and writer, John Haidt, Haidt, Haidt. And he said, one of the greatest truths in psychology is that the mind is divided into parts that sometimes contradict, which means
That's wild.
We live in tension within ourselves already. We're able in our own minds to have a peace that's not an absence of conflict, right?
Right.
But it's we make sense of it, right? We have this already in ourselves. So couldn't we extend that understanding and that skill to our relationships with others?
Dang, yeah, that is powerful stuff to be able to have that go on in your head. It reminds me of a Walt Whitman poem. It is called The Song of Myself, 51, and it says, "Do I contradict myself? Very well, then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes."
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I am large, I contain multitudes. Containing contradictions isn't something that should make us feel ashamed or defensive. Sometimes, if I observe in myself a contradiction, or even worse, if someone else observes in me a contradiction, then I have a temptation to get defensive or explain it away. It's not really a contradiction because of this, 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 and this, or it really actually makes sense, but I feel this line from this poem is acceptance. Actually, I don't have to be defensive. I could be curious about it. I could embrace it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being curious about it. Oh, why is that?
It almost, I feel without that defensiveness closes us in again, right?
Yeah.
It's that peacekeeping. No. But the same. If I was, it's interesting. I contradict myself and just kind of go along your merry way, or just wonder about it, think about it, mull it over. I feel that should be a practice of how we respond to other people.
Yeah, I think we can practice this with ourselves, finding acceptance and expansiveness and curiosity, and then we can do that in our relationships with other people. You think differently about this. What can I learn from your perspective? I can be curious about that. Or I can just embrace it. Wow, we have lots of different perspectives. That's really beautiful. That's really fun. That's really cool. Look at us, embodying diversity, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It seems there's a real sense that it's not just nice to have each other's differences, but really we need each other's differences. The different ways that we process morality and values and issues, and how we put one issue kind of over another. I feel it creates a sort of, a counterbalance in a sense, right? So we're not leaning too far to one way or too far to the other. We need each other, especially the others of us who don't think like we do.
Right.
The goal isn't to win someone over to our side, or to ignore the differences. That's peacekeeping.
Right.
The goal is to see that value in where we differ and learn from it, so that way we can truly make peace. But I wonder, Mikkel, are there limits to this? Do we just keep expanding and validating each other's perspectives, or are there lines that we kind of have to draw in the sand?
I think that's a really good question, and the short answer is yes. There are limits to this. Because when we encounter people or groups or ideologies that oppress, degrade, or harm people, they have to be confronted in a different way. Those are not things that we're making peace with, right? We're going to confront those things in a different way. And it's important for us to remember, for me to remember, that the things that, not everything I disagree with is something that's harming or oppressing or degrading, right? And it's tricky. Anderson actually says one of the biggest tasks before us is to learn to make the distinction between what's different thinking and what's harmful thinking. Peacemaking is possible between two competing ideas, not between good and evil.
Man, that is such an important thing to remember. We're not making peace with evil. And I agree with Anderson that is such a difficult and important thing that we have in front of us to do. Discerning between what is different and what is harmful, that can be tough stuff.
Yeah. I think, let's talk about some examples for that too, because it can be easy to wrap our heads around what we're really talking about. Okay, so when it comes to your use and values around time, is it rude to be late, or is it rude to break off a conversation in order to be on time for an appointment? Okay? When it comes to your values around money, is it irresponsible to give too much away and then not have enough for later? Or is it hoarding to save a bunch so you have enough for later? Okay, I'm not sure if you're getting this, so give me some feedback, okay? When it comes to your perspectives on authority, is it rude to ask questions, or is it rude to not ask questions to make sure that you understand? I bet that you all had gut reactions to those things.
I know I did.
Right?
That's for sure.
And there are probably people in other parts of the world that would have different gut reactions. In my mind, those things that's different thinking. How you value time, how you value money, how you think about authority, those are different thinkings, but not necessarily harmful thinkings, right? So I hope that we're starting to we're saying this group of people is not really people, they're not humans. That's harmful thinking.
Right.
Right? That's the different category than those examples that I just gave. So let's pause here so you can think about this and process for one more chat question. What are some ways that you try to discern between things that are different, it's not right or wrong, it's just different, versus harmful? These are things that are oppressing or degrading. Let's take a minute and talk about it. Yeah, so this is tricky. When I think about this, like it's easy for me to say like this is harmful thinking than like to draw some kind of like principle or I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I would say like harmful thinking is when we're dehumanizing a group of people, when we've decided I can't learn anything from those people or like they don't have expertise. Like that's I think when it becomes harmful thinking.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it really does, because you can kind of use that as the platform then to go into more specifics.
Right.
On a more personal level for me too, I like to like include other people into the conversation that maybe think differently than me as well. Like to ask, hey, is this harmful or is this just different?
Right.
Get multiple voices in the conversation.
One place that I found really helpful to have those conversations is in CORE, Communities Organizing for Racial Equity. This is an organization that we partner with to equip us in anti-racism and like help us to learn how to do this better. And one part of it is what we call caucusing, where we get into groups and like we have these discussions where I can say, okay, this situation happened this week. Here was like my gut reaction. Help me check it. Like, am I off? Is there something I'm missing? Help me to like, and we're just asking people to speak into our experiences in a new way.
Yeah, that does sound like it would be super helpful.
And there's a new like a workshop starting in a couple of weeks. So if you're interested in that, you know, look on your thing. All right, so one way to think about the difference between peacemaking and peacekeeping is to think about your goal. Like, what is the end goal that you're working toward? Is it an absence of conflict, or is it a presence of peace, of shalom, of wholeness? In his famous letter from Birmingham jail, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he wrote about his observations of white moderate people, and specifically white moderate pastors, and how they're more devoted to order than to justice. They prefer a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, over a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. Peacekeeping is about the absence of conflict, while peacemaking focuses on the presence of peace, the presence of justice. It focuses on healing, on restoration, on wholeness. Eric, how have you seen a negative peace influence you or the world around you?
Man, well, I feel like this message hits perfectly. Because as I would like to say that I am a peacemaker all the time, that doesn't happen as much. In the moment, I revert back to that the easiness almost with the absence of conflict, because it has that short-term, immediate benefit. And there really isn't, though, much long-term benefit. But where it leaves, especially when you talked about peace with like wholeness and stuff, that doesn't, in the end, leave me feeling whole, feeling good, because I wasn't true to myself in that moment. Yeah. What about you?
I would say that I grew up with sort of an ambivalent relationship to conflict, which means like there's two things at the same time. So on one hand, I was encouraged to have those difficult conversations and to show up for myself and to speak up. But then the adults that I had those conversations with would often shame me for like being so proud that I would say those things or like speak up for myself. And so then I just let it go. Like, so now I have found that I can say the first thing, ask a question, and then when someone gives me an answer, even if I don't think that it's like satisfactory, I will like, okay, and just let it go. And like, I'm working to continue to ask the questions after that,
Sure, yeah.
So I learned to show up, to play at peace, but then to accept that absence of conflict, like accept the negative piece. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, it does. But it sounds like a confusing paradox, to be honest. They want you to speak up, but they don't want there to be conflict. Right. But I mean, the very nature of sharing with one another and being different people means that conflict is going to show up.
Right.
Yeah. Why do you think, I don't know, why do you think this is scary for people to pursue positive peace? Why does negative peace, especially, I hope, because I'm going to listen to this. Right. Why is negative peace so much easier, Mikkel?
Well, I think positive peace is often very disruptive. So peacemaking is disruptive. It disrupts the tidy boxes that we use to process the world. It disrupts the ways that we go about our lives. And then peacekeeping, or negative peace, for those who haven't learned to have healthy and constructive conflict, and haven't experienced that healthy and constructive conflict going well, peacekeeping can just feel safer. It just feels more comfortable. It feels like what we're used to. And I would add, too, that if your attachment to your first caregivers, to your adults as a child, wasn't secure. So if your adults were not emotionally available or were unpredictable, then you might have learned to accept that negative peace, like the absence of conflict, as a way of maintaining your relationship to your adults. And that's like a survival mechanism, because you depend on your adults for survival, and so it's a survival instinct to say, okay, I must be wrong, and to preserve whatever relationship you can with your adults.
Okay, yeah.
So changing that paradigm and learning a new way, it is hard. It's not impossible, but it's difficult, and it requires developing new neural pathways, like learning how to do things in a new way, taking risks, and also being in a community, I think, that can handle those different perspectives and provide a space for healthy conflict without shutting you down.
Especially, it makes me think I'm kind of enjoy hiking and stuff like that. So when you're blazing that new trail that you haven't been on before, you're having to kind of get rid of the weeds and everything like that. It's tough work there. But it sounds like a really good reason to be peacemakers instead of peacekeepers. Yeah. It's for our own good, but it can also be a step forward to providing that healing space for others.
Right. That community is so, so important. Because when we do this work, we find ourselves not fitting into the tidy boxes. We don't always fit into the same political paradigm that we've grown up in, or the same religious paradigm that we once fit into. And then when we do this well, we find that that's okay. That it's actually not that important to fit into those boxes, because we can remember what Jesus said in Matthew 5, right? Yeah. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Children of God.
Yeah, it starts with that.
Yeah, that's where we belong. That's our family. That's our new home. That's the people that we belong to. So even when our minds have a hard time grasping it, or the world has a hard time respecting it, that's God's promise to us. When we're peacemakers, we're children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for
and then we can be peacemakers.
Exactly.
When you see others as children of God.
Anderson says, when we see ourselves and others as well as children of God, the space between us becomes less threatening and less problematic, and more of an opportunity to be a breeding ground for the kind of peace that holds disparities in both hands and believes there's a way forward in the most unlikely of places. I love that. The space between us becomes less threatening and less problematic. It becomes an opportunity for us to believe that there's a way forward in the midst of differences. Yeah. There's a way for us to make peace in this world. And I would say, may it be so for us today. Amen. We're going to receive communion this morning, and what I love about the table, what I love about this invitation that we have, is that it is an opportunity for us to cross the space between us. We know that when God created the world, God created us to be in relationship with God. Humanity wasn't faithful to that. Humanity over and over was faithless. But God continued to move toward us, continued to cross that space, to be in relationship with us, first by calling Abraham and creating God's people, and then by giving God's people the law by which to live. And then as humanity continued to not be faithful, God sent the prophets to call God's people back to God. And ultimately, God came to earth as Jesus and showed us how to live, showed us how to cross the space between us, how to hold connection over distance, how to be peacemakers in the world instead of being peacekeepers. Jesus demonstrated all of that for us. And then on the night before he gave himself for us, he took the bread and he gave thanks to you, God. And he said, "This is my body. It's given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And he took the cup and he gave thanks to you, God. And he said, "This is the blood of the new covenant, which is shed for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And so, God, we ask that you would send your Spirit on these elements. May they be for us the body and the blood of Christ. And as you continue to cross the space between us, Lord, help us to turn our eyes and our hearts to you. This table is open, which means that you do not have to be a member of Sycamore Creek Church to receive. We ask only that you desire to live at peace with God and at peace with others. I'm going to invite those who are serving communion to come on up. When you approach them, and by the way, it's okay if you do not feel like it's the right time for you to receive communion. You can stay where you are. That's totally fine. But as you come up, give your name to the person holding the bread, and they will tear off a piece, and they will say, "This is the body of Christ given for you, Aaron." And then you'll receive it in your hands, and then you'll dip it in the cup, and they'll say, "This is the blood of Christ shed for you," and say your name. And then you can eat it and return to your seat. We'll have 2 lines here. We do have gluten-free elements and self-contained elements in the back by the door where you walk in. So if you need those, please feel free to get those as well. I think that's everything. Okay. Here we go. All right, the table is set. Come and receive. would you join me in praying the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. We know that we want to connect with you and we want to cross that space between us. We think that you're here wanting to connect with us as well. And so we have some opportunities for you to do that this week and in the coming weeks. So watch this video with me on some ways that we can connect.
Connect more fully and further today at sycamorecreekchurch.org/connect or by filling out the connection card and placing it in the blue buckets by your seat. Leave us your name and email and we'll get in contact with you about next steps. Or mark the next steps on the back of the connection card, like reading the space between us, joining us for the Lunch and Learn today, signing up for core, and attending the Ash Sunday service. Today, stick around after worship for free lunch and the documentary Redemption, the John M. Perkins story. We'll have lunch together and discuss. And join us for the South Lansing gas giveaway this February 13th. That's Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Come here to the South Lansing campus at 5 p.m. to give away $10 free gas to everyone who stops by. And join us for the Humbling and Healing Ash Sunday service, Sunday, February 18th at 7 p.m. here at Sycamore Creek, South Lansing. And sign up for Communities Organizing for Racial Equity from February 21st through March for 6 consecutive Wednesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. on Zoom. Register today at corenow.org. And thank you for your giving. That makes everything here possible. You can continue to give online at sycamorecreekchurch.org/give with an envelope at the blue buckets at your seat, by mail, through the app, and so many other options. Thank you. Let's head back to the worship space together to see what your giving has made possible this week.
All right.
We got them.
We're pulling these back out.
One more time.
Pull out your connection card. Flip it over. We've got some next steps here. So take a look at those. We also have this question. It's not really a survey because it's literally just one question, but we're trying to get a baseline for how people are feeling about political conversations in the holiday season. So think Thanksgiving and Christmas of 2024. How do you anticipate feeling about that? Mark that down. Our goal is to increase your preparedness for that.
Yeah, it'll be a space where that's not as scary,
out,
right?
Just to get a baseline here. And then if you have prayer requests, you can also mark those or share them with us. We would love to be praying with you. And once you've done all that, well, actually, we've got the next steps.
Yeah.
And we've got a bonus one. We have our gas giveaway this Tuesday. And I would really love to know how many people are going to be there. It's really fun. People are so excited. They're
and confused. It's a good mix.
Is there a catch? Do I have to sign up for some promotion? And you get to say, no. I just want to buy you some gas. And you get stories of, I didn't know how I was going to put gas in my car. I was going to have to choose between getting gas or getting dinner, and I don't know.
It's a super special
It's really
time,
fun.
though. It's really nice.
So just write gas giveaway on the side if you know that you're planning to be there. And then you can drop that in the blue bucket at the end of your row. You can mark that you're staying for Lunch and Learn. I will not see these before we have our Lunch and Learn.
Because it's today.
Yeah, the pizza should be here in 8 minutes. If they're, I scheduled it for 11:45, so we'll see. Yeah, I am a time-oriented person. That's true. Okay, so just drop that in there. You can also drop any financial gifts that you have. You can give online through the app.
Yeah.
I like to
So
set a
many different ways.
recurring
Yeah.
gift so that I don't have to think about it throughout the week or the month. But we're really thankful for people giving. Like,
because it does a lot of cool stuff.
It does a lot
right?
of cool stuff. One of the things that we're celebrating this week that giving made possible is that we had our marriage retreat this past weekend. We had like,
That is
I think
awesome.
10 couples-ish. We gathered at Buddies. So if you've come to any of our Buddies events, like, it's a lot of fun. We got to be in a different room this time.
Oh.
Which is kind of fun. So that was special. And then on Saturday, we were on Zoom, and it was just a time of like connecting with your spouse and connecting with other couples and getting deeper in your relationship. So thank you for your giving that helps make things like that possible.
Yeah, so many other cool things. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. We have one more shout out question for you. If you could hire someone to help you with cleaning, cooking, or yard work, which includes snow removal, what would you pick?
I heard like cleaning on both sides right here. I'm with you with cleaning.
I'm hearing mostly cleaning.
Dusting
I know
is the
that there are
worst.
some other people who have
Cooking.
Cooking.
All right.
How much are you cooking,
roasted.
Caleb? I mean, that's really what I.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. All right. So keep talking about this, I guess, as you go throughout your day. Sounds like some good conversation happening there. Would you stand with me and let's sing a couple more songs today?
So coming out of this, or like out of this message, out of this, or in this series, I thought the song Waymaker makes a lot of sense. It's a good fit, because that space between us sometimes feels like war zone, and we want it to be the fertile ground, and we can't do that on our own. So coming to God and remembering that He's a Waymaker, and remembering that God is the one who goes before us is really important. So we'll sing this one together.
you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. Oh, I worship you. 'Cause Jesus, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Yes, you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop, 'cause Jesus, you are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 'Cause you are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Amen.
Y'all sound so good. Like, it's so much fun to be a part of something bigger. And when we come together and we sing in the same room, that's one of the beautiful gifts from God that is a reminder that we're all part of something bigger.
You guys sound good too.
Oh, thank you, Jen. Team effort. It's for everybody.
There in the newborn's cry, there in the light of every sunrise, there in the shadows of this light, your great grace. It's there on the mountaintop, there in the everyday and mundane, there in the sorrow and the dancing, your great grace, oh such grace. creation to the cross. Then from the cross into eternity, your grace finds me. Yes, your grace finds me. It's there on the wedding day, there in the weeping by the graveside, there in the very breath we breathe, your great grace. Is there in the rich and the poor, the same for the saint and for the sinner, enough for this whole wide world. Your great grace is such grace. From the creation to the cross, then from the cross into eternity, your grace finds me. Yes, your grace finds me. It's there in the darkest night of the soul, and there in the sweetest songs of victory, your grace finds me. Yes, your grace finds me. Your great grace, such grace, your great grace, such grace. So I'm breathing in your grace and breathing out your praise. I'm breathing in your grace. Forever I'll be breathing in your grace. I'm breathing out your praise. I'm breathing in your grace. Forever I'll be breathing in your grace. Breathing out your praise. I'm breathing in your grace. Forever, forever. Your grace finds me. Yes, your grace finds me. Your grace finds me. Lord, your grace finds me.
I'm so glad that you joined us this morning. It's really good to see each one of your faces. I know, I can see you all, and I'm glad that you're here. And I hope that you will join us next week. We are continuing this series with the space between us, with a conversation between Kathy Doby, who's a member of our vision team, and Mark Opperly, who is the pastor of our Potterville campus. We're going to be talking about wonder versus expectation. So join us next week. And until then, be curious, creative, and compassionate, and consider sticking around for lunch. Go in peace.